Hey everyone, welcome to The Joy of Paintball. I'm Clint Riddle, and today my guest is Dan Shelley. You know him as Shellda, Shellda Photos, Shellda Podcast, Shellda Art, Shellda, author of A Dragon's Journey to Dynasty, the really cool children's book that released last year at World Cup. He's a super nice guy, and he's got a lot of really great contributions to the sport, and we're going to talk about it today on this podcast. So thanks so much for joining. I haven't done a podcast in a while, so it's gonna be a little. We'll get there, but I got good company, so I think he'll carry the weight. Hopefully,
no pressure.
Yeah. No. So I've got Dan Shelley, who has been like around for a while, and we're gonna hear about that. He's been doing a lot of things, and he's kind of the just go for it guy as far as like what I can tell. I'm hoping to find out some more about that, but he's done photography, videography.
I did it for like a month to try it, and it wasn't for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so
right.
Stuff came back to the photos.
So
and
we
stuff
got
there.
Photography. He's recently started a podcast, dropped his first episode yesterday, I think. Right?
Literally this morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hours ago.
Sweet. Yeah. It was a good one too. I listened to it. So
Appreciate it.
I'm excited about that. He's an author.
Yeah.
Not many authors out there in the paintball world, so that's cool. And ultimately just a nice guy. Really cool to run into on the field, and we're gonna talk some more about that. But first off, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, man.
No, thank you for having me. It's so cool just to be a part of the paintball community. And I think what you said, right? Like, hey, we're going to fumble through this. That's exactly how conversation should be, right? Like when you go hang out with a buddy at a bar or a coffee shop, you have a conversation, and sometimes there's lulls in it. Sometimes things you stumble through, but like, that's when the best conversations happen. So I'm totally excited for this.
Nice. Me too. Well, let's do a quick little. First off, you guys, seriously, I did listen to it. We get a little bit of a rundown of your history on that first episode, but mostly that episode's telling us the plans for the podcast.
Yeah,
and we will get to that. But I'd love to just hear. I mean, this is all about like creativity in paintball. That's what I try to focus my podcast about. So I'm wondering where like give us your paintball history. I saw something that you played. Huntington Beach? Or no, you played Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, yeah.
Okay, so I need to know your paintball history. Like where did it start? If you want to do the very beginning, that's fine, but just sort of ultimately, how does your paintball and your art history sort of come together?
Kind of merge. Yeah, for sure. So I'll give you like the TLDR, and some of the boring stuff is kind of where I started, right? And before I do that, hey, crazy cup choice there, right? Like cheers on the coffee. That's awesome right there. So the short version of it, I started like a lot of people. I actually started with my mom. I had some friends interested.
That's a new one, dude.
Yeah, and she was like, "Hey, I totally support it." We went to the store, got some brass eagle talons. We played in our backyard, so like she dressed up in full camo with me and my friends and got out there with us. And then
was it the clear talon?
The clear talon it was. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. And I did a little bit through some small, whatever the divisions were back then. They were like rookie and something. I only played in Connecticut, so up at Matt's Outback Paintball, which is where like Harrison Fry of Dynasty plays.
Nice.
I think Wrecking Crew plays there sometimes.
Okay.
And I did some local stuff there, nothing crazy, never podiumed, never got any awards or accolades. I went to 2 national events, Denver, 2004 or 5, when they played outside of the Broncos Stadium.
Yeah. Okay.
There's an iconic picture that somebody took of Oliver laying like kind of on a fence looking at the field, and you can see the stadium in the background. So I remember that event specifically.
Nice.
And then the last one I played was NPPL Tampa, the 7-man. And again, never podiumed or anything, but my takeaway from that was I got to play my first pro team. which was the Portland Naughty Dogs. So like Rocky Newth and all those guys.
Was Colt on there then? Colt Roberts?
I think he may have been. I've got a picture somewhere that I took with them after, because like I got off the field and instantly fangirled and went and like took a picture. I'll find it somewhere. But that game made it into whatever the paintball video was for that event. Like maybe it was Jawbreaker.
Okay.
And I just posted that clip because they beat us in 40 seconds.
Holy.
And so like you can see me on the box getting to break out, and they go like, the Portland Naughty Dogs go on to max this team in 40 seconds. And so
hey, you're on Jawbreaker, dude. Like
exactly, right? Yeah.
It's limited quantity these days. It's not
totally. And then after that, like the whole college thing happened where I stepped away from the sport playing. But I never left the sport like as a fan. I followed every event. I was on PB Nation every day, like looking for the updates, and like, Dynasty did this, or Oliver Lang left for the Ironman. It's like I was just a huge fan through all of it.
Nice.
And I moved to North Carolina for a few years, and then I moved down here to Austin, Texas. And I just missed the community. I missed being a part of it. And so I had the itch again to play. And I started to look up fields. I'm like, well, I've got, X Factor. They're, hour and a half, 2 hours from me south. Paintball Fit, the Field of Dreams is 3 hours north. I can't justify that cost every Sunday of doing that.
Yeah.
And then I stumbled on a field here in Austin but everything said it was closed. I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. Like it's literally on the same road that I live on.
Dude.
And come to find out, they just didn't have a social media presence. And that's where I've been. I literally drive 7 minutes to my field.
Dude,
it's crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's the dream.
Exactly. And I bought all the gear again, and I showed up. I played for a few weeks. I'd come home and I would just be on the heating pad. I'd be on the ice. Like I'd just be so sore because my body couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And so, come full circle where the media part ties in. Austin Notorious was fresh off of their semi-pro win for Cup, moving up to the pro spot. And they didn't really have a social media presence. And I was looking at it as, if you're going to be a pro team, there's a certain level of media that you need to be a pro team, right? To like represent your brand.
Sure.
Exactly. Should, right? There's only a few good teams out there that do that. And so, again, at this time, I had never picked up a camera, other than like some silly vlog stuff, like just for me.
Okay.
But I had never picked up a camera and stepped on any type of field, whether it's any sports at all, let alone paintball. And I asked the owner, I'm like, hey, I would love to take over your social and just try it, And so I literally went out there with my iPhone and started, doing clips and reels.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is so much fun. And a week before Sunshine in Florida last year, the first event, my wife and I were at a little weekend getaway, and I just brought up, I'm like, you know what, I'm really enjoying this. Like I'd love if there's a way for me to find out how to do this more. And she was like, well, what if you got a camera and like just tried it? And I was like, oh, that's crazy. I can't do that. So she talked, we agreed and, decided to do it. So keep in mind that was Sunday. The following Friday was Florida. No plans to go or anything. I didn't even have a camera yet. Like I'd have to overnight it. So I overnighted a whole bunch of gear. I was talking to Verbal through the DMs, talking to like Get That Shot, Carlos. They were giving me all these tips. I went online and bought the media pass for $50. My bags are packed. Fast forward to Wednesday, we're about to drive, start the whatever the 18-hour drive is, whatever it is. And I messaged Verbal. I'm like, hey, man, I'm so excited to be you. Can't wait to share the field with you. He's like, damn, what are you talking about? He's like, you can't be on the pro field. like, wait a minute. What do you mean?
I bought a pass. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I bought a pass. What are you talking about? He was like, no, like, that's not how it works. That's the divisional pass. Like the pro field is, you have to have a platinum sponsor, pay 30 or 40 or 50 grand to be a platinum sponsor. And then they get 2 media passes to give away. to people to shoot for them.
Dang. All right.
So I'm like, oh my God, like, what did I just do? I just dropped thousands of dollars, like took off of work. I scoured the NXL website. There's nothing in the rules that like say that. Nothing said it's not for it. I emailed Tom Cole and I'm like, hey, Tom, this is a situation. Like, I'm going to shoot for Notorious, it's a new pro team. I'm on my way. And he called me. He was like, hey, listen, we'll figure it out. He's like, just show up. And so I literally showed up Friday morning, first event. First time I turned on the camera, it was in auto, and I went on the field and took some of my first paintball pictures.
How'd they turn out, dude?
They were terrible. Like, you know,
no winners out of the first.
I mean, so like you can go back and scroll to the bottom of my timeline and see some of them, and like just the quality difference it's so bad. Like for me, it's embarrassing, but I also understand like if I didn't do that, like I wouldn't have learned and grown from it.
Yeah.
You know,
you bought a brand new camera and took it to a paintball field.
Yeah.
On the pro, you're like, well, I guess at least it was on the pro field. Probably get shot less there than.
Yeah, right. Because you know, I always joke around like divisionals are a lot of stormtroopers. Like they're just shooting at whatever's moving on the sidelines.
I like that.
So yeah, you know, like so my first weekend had no idea what I was doing. I was shooting an auto. I kind of had an eye for it, right? The second day I showed up, I had my media shirt on backwards. And I didn't know until halfway throughout the day. And someone's like, hey, bro, like your shirt's on backwards. And so I was like, I'm done. Like, there's no way I'm going to live this down. And so it was just.
You should just do that from now on.
Just do the trend, right? Just wear everything backwards. And so,
your next shirt drop, just have it.
Just have it backwards.
Where it's printed backwards, though. And
that's such a good idea. There's a cool story behind it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like the rest is, you know, kind of history. I don't know how much more we're going to go into it, but like I skyrocketed from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're telling me like zero photography, artistic like background growing up or interest, just loving paintball and.
I've always enjoyed photography and videography. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of like Peter McKinnon or Casey Neistat. They're like kind of YouTube legends or vloggers.
I know Peter McKinnon. Yeah. I use him in my class for a few of his tutorial videos for like composition and stuff. So.
Yeah. So I've always been just a big fan of his work, you know, let alone his personality, you know, on screen. And a few years ago, you'll appreciate this. A few years ago, I actually started an art business.
I saw that. Yeah,
it was called Shellda Art, and where I was doing some pour over paintings.
Oh, okay.
And I sold a bunch of them to like friends and family, but it never really took off. But I had a YouTube channel where I showed kind of the process of what it's like to create the painting and like the payoff at the end of it, of holding the final product. So that was heavily focused on shooting video side of it. Okay. So I was like focusing on like some cinematic movements and whatnot, but never really the photography side of it until paintball.
Nice. All right. Well, that's like encouraging. I need to like share that. I hope other people like catch this because you just went for it, dude. Like that seems to be the story. Like, all right, let's jump into being an author and saying, I want to make a kid's book. Like, tell me about that.
Yeah. So it's kind of similar in a way, where I think everyone, knows, or not everyone, but a lot of people in the paintball community obviously know about the Dynasty book. Mm-hmm. I actually wrote another book before that started that journey.
Okay.
And
was it a paintball book also? Or?
It's not.
Okay.
Nope. It's about a family vacation, and I'll talk about it a little bit. A few years ago, I was on a family vacation with my mom, my wife, and my stepkids, and there was a certain like beach in the Northeast that was like my mom's place. Like it was, her happy place. And I finally got to go experience that with her because, of course, living across the country, I don't get to see her a lot.
Yeah.
And so we're there on the beach, and she's telling me about there's these glass orbs. They look like glass ornaments in a way that this glass artist creates every year, and he hides them around the island.
That's fun.
And it's a cult following. Like, people will go to this island with their families just to try to find these orbs, and they're all like individually numbered and dated. And like, when she told me that, I was like, oh my God, this is such a cool story that brings people together all around art. And so, I've always heard musicians, I'm a big Coldplay fan. I've always heard them like, this song came to me in the middle of the night. And like, the song Yellow came to me in the middle of the night while I was, dreaming. I'm like, that's bullshit. That never happens.
Yeah.
That was the first moment in my life where like I had an idea of a story, and I literally went back to where we were staying, and I just hammered out the whole entire thing in like 45 minutes. And I was like, I need to do something with this.
Nice.
And so that's where it started. And then, as I progressed, fast forward to last season, I built a relationship with Dynasty because I started to do a lot of work for them, a lot of photos and whatnot. And I was like, man, I'm looking around the event, and every time I saw like a younger kid, anywhere from the 3 to 6 or 7 range, they've got headphones on, and they're on a tablet.
Oh, okay.
And
it's not like, for like ear protection. It's
literally just to keep them busy.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, there's got to be something for these kids. Like, we're missing it in this community. We've got gel blasters, which is great for that, little bit older range, but nothing for that younger range. And so I started to jot down some ideas of a book. And I thought, oh my God, there's an opportunity here with Dynasty. Like the dragon, I've always been a Dynasty fan. Like, obviously there's, pictures back there. And I just thought of like, the inner dragon, like that's be such a cool story that I can make a character around it. It could be a journey at the whole entire piece of it. And so I called Ryan Greenspan. I'm like, hey, I've got probably one of the weirdest ideas you've heard or been pitched, but hear me out. And from day one, he was all about it. He was so great to work with. And so like we floated ideas around. And then, 3 events later at World Cup, it launched.
Dude.
Crazy.
So in the span of a year, right? Less than a year.
Literally less than a year.
No way. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
You're just going for it.
Yeah, it's
like, so I'm assuming that's like some entrepreneurial just thing that you have. It sounds like you're just like always like, I'm going to try this and we'll see how it goes. But you try it pretty well. That book, everyone knows about it. Especially in our community, everyone knows about it. Can you talk about like kind of the logistics of that, of like putting it's on freaking Amazon, like that?
For sure.
Big deal.
Yeah, for sure. So like the first thing I'll say is everyone's like, it's got to be lucrative. Like, you got to make so much money. I don't even think I've broken even yet. I think I've lost money because it's so expensive to publish a book. And when it's on Amazon, like you see literally pennies back if something is sold.
Yeah.
If what's happened is like if a distributor picks it up, they buy a bunch and then they return it. Like, I eat those costs. I'm figuring that out the hard way.
Oh man.
That's okay. It's all part of the entrepreneurial, like you're learning, right?
Okay.
But I've thought about like, where does this come from? Because whenever I have an idea, if I get passion behind it, like I just jump in. I jump all in. I'm 110% in, and I just want to run with it.
Yeah.
And I was never the kid that had like a lemonade stand or anything. I took some business classes in college, and like I was part of a business club. But even before that, I think where it all ties back is it ties back to paintball. Okay. And as crazy as that sounds, when I was 13, 14, 15 years old, I was on PB Nation. I was buying and selling markers back and forth. Like, I would buy an Angel for 800, and then I would do something to it and sell it for 900. And so my mom was like, hey, what is this package that always shows up? And I was literally just flipping guns or buying jerseys. And so I was literally a kid negotiating with adults of like, hey, you haven't listed here, I'll buy it right now for $20 cheaper.
Dang. All
And so
right.
I think that's where some of that business mindset came from, is all from paintball, honestly.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that before. Like, just the I guess the economy of like adults and kids sort of trading. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, high school, early college age kids, just even in some sort of interaction with like older dudes
I mean,
in a business interaction.
it's literally giving you life skills, right? Because like you're
Mm-hmm.
having to negotiate pricing and negotiate shipping and staying on top of, them shipping it. And so like you're essentially working out timelines for, project management and other life skills. And
Dang.
so like paintball really gives us so many life skills that I just don't think people really think about.
Yeah. I wonder how many people have PB Nation on their resume. Like,
I don't know, man. I
that's
miss
a
it
pretty
so.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a really funny PB Nation story. If you want to, we can jump into that at some point too.
If you want to, go for it, man. Yeah.
Um, at NPP or MP, oh my gosh, NPPL. I'm just like dating myself for a second. Um,
Yeah.
at NXL Texas last year.
Okay.
I think you were there, right? The
Yeah.
one in Round
Yeah.
Rock.
The Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah. So the parking situation was kind of crazy. If you showed up late, like you kind of had to park way down the hill, and it was a long walk up the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had, dropped off my car, and I was like, man, I'm just going to get ready here so I can just get to the field and just shoot. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got my paintball pants on, my media shirt on, I'm holding my camera, mask is on my head.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a car roll up to me and window comes down and I hear, "Hey, media guy, do you want to ride?" I look over. Oh my God, it's John Dresser. Never met the guy. So I literally jumped in John Dresser's car and
Nice,
like
dude.
he drove me, 5 or 10 minutes to the field and we chatted for a little bit. Then,
Nice.
we've since created a relationship out of that and he's a, good friend of mine. But like, yeah, John Dresser was my Uber driver for
Dude,
the NXL event.
that's crazy. Yeah. He ran PB Nation for what?
It was his
Like,
baby. Yeah.
oh, okay. The whole thing?
I'm pretty sure he was like the guy behind all of it.
No way. I didn't know
Because
that. I thought he
I,
kind of just took it over, but
I could be wrong there, but like if you remember the old John, like I think it was just John, and like the guy, the avatar was like his kind of like face like this. That was him.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah,
I have a memory not with him, but just of John Dresser. What was it? I don't think it was Jawbreaker. I can't remember. Not Jawbreaker. I can't remember what video it was, but he was playing for the team, factory team Evil,
yeah.
kind of
Okay,
running it, and he's an interesting character. But
yeah. He's a
no,
good guy. He's got such a
yeah,
good heart. Like
yeah, it seems like
I've
a cool
seen
dude.
him at a lot of events with PB Retro and stuff, and he'll just give you the shirt off of his back if he needs to.
Yeah, yeah, right on. Well, cool, man. So you've done it all. So hang on. So we covered author, photographer. Well, let's dive into photography a little bit more. So
Yeah.
your in was Notorious,
Yes.
and is that all like? But you also do. Do you mind if I ask not specific but quasi financial questions
Sure. Please
about
do.
being a okay? So like as far as like making money, if that's even, I don't know that that's a something that you're trying to do with this. It
Yeah.
seems like a lot of this is just a passion project, like a love thing. But
Totally.
are you making? I've talked to Verb about it, and he said some pretty big numbers. But are you making money from like teams, from tangible artwork you're selling, or social media, or all the above, or like how
Yeah.
do
Good.
you navigate that?
This is such a good question, and I hope we can get some more light on media, what they're making or not making in some cases,
Yeah.
because it's such an important topic to help grow. So last year, all the NXL events that I went to, again on the pro field for all of them, I didn't make a single penny. Like that was all my own money or my combo my wife's and I's money, so we could get there. So that was
Okay.
purely passion, just to
Wow.
be
All right.
there, create those memories. I mean, selfishly for me,
Yeah.
but also to give back to the community with some really cool moments. Last year in between NXLs, like I would do Bunker Fest, I would
Mm-hmm.
do USXBL, and I would take on 3 or 4 teams, and anywhere from like 250 to 300 a team,
Okay.
which is
For the
still,
whole tournament.
yeah, which is still crazy low. Like I should be charging
Yeah.
way more than that. Um, it so
Do
that.
the like do people like would XDPL or Bunker Fest, whoever would say Bunker Fest, would they offer to purchase photos from you, or do they just kind of?
No, so Bunkerfest had a thing where when you sign up for media, you have to sign a waiver that gives them the rights to,
I get it. Yeah.
photos.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a weird thing. It's mostly just covering their,
Yeah.
tail for their assets. But no, I never was able to. That was never a thing to like sell photos to them.
Mm-hmm.
It was $300 to when it started. Just some friends of teams that I knew were playing locally that trusted me,
Yeah.
and so, I would go back and like that night I would edit a bunch of photos. So they would have it right away. And so I would try to find what other media people were doing. I'm like, man, okay, this person, they deliver their photos a week and a half out. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
do it in 3 days. Like I would try to find ways
Gosh,
like
dude.
just to help elevate myself, right? It's a
Yeah.
business model, like, hey, what's your
Yeah.
competitor doing? How can I do it better?
Yeah.
Um,
Golly.
and so,
Good for you, man. 3 days.
I,
That's your turnaround
Uh, I have it down to about 3 or 4. It's 4 days at most, but I
okay.
can usually get them out in about 3 days, a whole weekend.
For and how many teams do you take on for like?
Um,
Is this NXL also?
NXLs, I don't hire teams. That's just
Okay.
pure, and,
Okay.
and I'll explain that in a minute. But for
Sorry.
USXBL, no, for USXBL, I hire 3 or 4 teams max.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, when a team commits money to me, I want to make sure I'm fulfilling. I
Yeah.
am on the field with you for 90% of your games from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm not, then you're paying me to, I'm just out there, I'm just hoping I get shots, right? Like
Yeah.
some people book 8 or 9 teams. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how do you get creative with it? You're just getting
Yeah.
shots to get shots.
Just hope.
That's it. I mean, even when I have just the 3 or 4 teams, sometimes I've got teams that are on the same time slot. And I feel so bad, like, oh man, I'm going to miss a point or two for this team because I've got to go over here. And so it means so much to me that if you're trusting me with your money, I want to make sure you're getting value back. Uh, and then for jumping to your question for NXL, that's my playground. That's where I feel like I do my best work, uh, because wherever all the blue shirts are, I go opposite, right? And so like everyone's waiting on one side. I'm literally going to the opposite end of the field. And if I get a shot, I'm the only person that gets it. And so that's where my creativity comes out.
So you were talking about sort of the difference. You'll take on teams for USXBL, and
Yeah.
do you do XDPL, or is that too far?
No, it's too far.
Yeah.
I've had a bunch of people reach out like, hey, can you come shoot? And it's just the time commitment to be
Yeah.
3 hours away, the hotel,
Yeah.
food. It wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah. I get that.
And plus, like being away, the combination of NXL and USXBL, being away from my wife and my dog that's a lot of weekends.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to make sure I'm balancing the at home life too.
That's good. That's smart. Okay. Cool. And then what I loved what you said earlier is that the NXL is like your playground, and I think
Yeah.
looking at your work, like that's evident because you take a lot of shots that are not even like off the field shots that I'm like, man, this is a cool thing to share. Like not
Yeah.
only with like the public, but with the people that you're documenting. I saw one where like some dude probably lost. I don't know, but he's like kind of like leaning on his lady.
Yeah,
That's a really great
USXBL.
one. Okay, yeah, and then gosh, I'm trying to think. I've seen a lot similar. Maybe I don't know if you pulled that inspiration from like the Oliver creeping over the fence, but like you find those moments. They're super cool. And I even heard you when you were describing the photos that you were editing in your first podcast,
Yeah.
how you're connecting things to it that no one's like, until we hear that podcast, or if we are just doing our due diligence, I don't know that we would know that, but I kind of love
Yeah.
getting to find out those details. Sorry.
Yeah. It's, I've been asked that a lot. I was like, like someone else be like, hey, your work is incredible. Like, how do you do it? And it's like, I've spent so much time thinking about like where and why. And I think I landed on it at some point during the season last year. Whenever I see something at the field or an event, um, I don't know why or how or where it comes from, but I instantly like, man, that's a caption. Like that's a story. I can say something about that. And so I don't know if it's like an aspect of photojournalism or if there's something there with that. But whenever I see something, I instantly know what caption I'm going to write for it, for like
Yeah.
the Instagram post. And the other part of that is I've always been a really big fan of behind the scenes things. And so, like as silly as it sounds, the show MTV Cribs,
Yeah.
like I
Where the
love
magic
that.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
love that show because you get to see an inside look into something you typically wouldn't. And so, whenever you're watching paintball on Go Sports or the old videos, you never really see the stuff off the field, right?
Yeah. Dude, that was the highlight of like again, I forget what movie DVD it was, but the gear bag stuff. Like I
Yeah,
remember seeing Skinny Kevin and like Greenspan's gear bag, and it was
yeah.
yeah.
So on Ryan Greenspan's YouTube channel, like 10 years ago, he used to do what's in my gear bag on his channel. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. I get to see your gear. Like,
Yeah.
do I use the same gear?
Dude, I remember the spreads. It was it was a magazine, but it was a bird's eye view, and at the top you got some dude with his gear bag open and empty, and then it's all spread out. Like, here's
Yes.
what's in my gear bag, and it was like a 2-page thing. It was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think, when I'm at events, there's so many moments and stories that happen outside the nets that unless you're there, you don't know anything about that. And so some of my favorite things to do is just walk around and capture those moments. And honestly, some of my favorite shots, like, I think it's probably blurry, but like all three pictures on my wall, they're not playing. They're not action shots. They're
Yeah.
all after the match is over. Like when Go Sport cuts to an ad, there's so much emotion that happens on that field in the 3 minutes in between two sets,
Yeah.
that we don't ever get to see unless someone's there to capture that. And there's just so much story and so many emotions that come out in those 3 minutes that I just want to be there to capture.
Dude, that's so cool. That like, I mean, it's evident in your work, but it also really makes you think like, what are we missing? Like,
Yeah.
If we ever get away from split deck, I think.
Yeah, maybe one day. I think we're
Yeah.
we're with it for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of the beast.
So, golly, I lost it. I had a question. It's gone. Sorry.
It's okay. It'll come back.
Yeah, hopefully. So does NXL do they have the same sort of like thing you got to sign, or do they ever approach you and say, "Hey, can we use this?"
Yes, sort of. So with this past World Cup, so a few weeks ago was the first time I was actually on the NFL, the NXL staff.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
it's the first time I have actually been paid, by NXL. So it was a little more official,
Yeah.
this event where, like a lot of the scorecard graphics. So like when a match would be done, you would see like, Diesel beat so-and-so with a score under it.
Yeah.
A lot of that work was either myself or JMac or No Souls photo or No Souls.
Yeah.
And so I was there a little bit more for a job for that. And then I had to provide them some other content too. But I was also able to take a lot from my own, from my own brand as well.
Okay.
And so it was it was a really nice mix where for me, I don't want to feel like if I have to go and, hey, I have to go shoot something and I'm on a rigid thing, I lose that creative flow and I get out of my process and I'm there just to shoot.
Yeah,
And I don't ever want my career to be that.
I respect that. That's cool, man. Like, you know where the fulfillment comes from,
Yeah.
which seems like it comes from your playground.
Yeah, exactly. It's, it's, you'll, like I mentioned earlier, I had Sal on for my second episode next week, and we talk a lot about passion. And passion has to be the number one driver, because if not, that's where burnout happens. And
Yeah.
so I can totally tell when my passion's kicked in or something is like off in my life because I
Yeah.
can see it in my photos.
Okay. Very cool. Okay, we've covered author, we've covered photographer, and now I'm going to segue. You did a bit, I don't know if that's the right word. You made some content at World
Yeah.
Cup of you, like, just talking us through what you're doing. That was super cool, man. I love that. Like, will we see some more of that, like, on your podcast or just in general?
So yes, I actually going into World Cup, that was not even in the cards at all. And Sal, the videographer for Dynasty and for BFP gear, he literally walked up to me Saturday morning at Cup. He was like, "Hey man, like, would you want to be mic'd up?" I'm like, "What? Like, why would you want to mic me up?"
Yeah.
He was like, "I don't know. I think it'd be cool to like, mic you up and I can, get some video of you and you could talk us through your process." I'm like, that's dope. Like,
Yeah.
let's for sure do that.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that like someone else had to film it. So he was
Yeah,
just like, hey, let's give it a shot. Okay.
man,
I see.
there was one point where I think it's in the reel too, or the video. He got literally roasted. Like he had to stand in a lane, and he got destroyed.
Oh, no.
But yeah, it was really cool because I have so many other photographers from media that reach out and they're asking for tips and, hey, can you give me feedback? And they asked so many questions, and so it was a really cool opportunity to like let people into my mind and like what I'm out there, how I get my shots, how I miss shots. I wanted Sal to keep that in there because I missed a few shots, and so I really wanted him to see people to see that too.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think he's got plans for sure to do some more media at these events.
Okay.
For my podcast, each episode, whether it's me walking through my photos or if I have another media personnel on, I want to get into their mind like, hey, what was your thought process when you were either shooting this or editing this?
Yeah.
I think it's a really nice to get inside of people's minds for that.
Sweet. Yeah, like that you're talking about behind the scenes stuff. That's, I mean, obviously that's what that is, but that was super cool. It'd be fun to
Awesome,
see
man.
like when you say like I missed that shot, like if you show whoever got that shot, pop that up. That's not me. That's
Yeah, totally.
and like, because that's interesting to think about, like what you do and don't get, because even just watching it on Go Sports, it's so much going on. There's no way to just process 10 people doing 10 different things.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And like, it's like I would love at some point for like anyone who's a photographer, a sports photographer in their profession to step on a paintball field, because it's insane how fast it moves and like how fast you have to anticipate and turn. And I for sure have more shots that I missed than I actually have got. Like especially at Cup, like if there's a car crash coming, right, or like two people going towards it,
Yeah.
I'm literally switching my stuff on the fly as I'm turning, and I'm hoping it's in focus, and if that focus is off a little bit, I'm not going to post it, and it happens all the time.
So you're having to like you're on. What do you shoot?
So I shoot with a Sony A1 for my body, and then like what people call the paintball lens is a 70 to 200.
Yeah.
So I can punch in, and I can get pretty far throughout the field.
Okay. But then you're having to like thumb through different focus settings or whatever.
For sure. That's, I started, when I started this whole thing, I was shooting everything in auto.
Mm-hmm.
And then I switched over to like either shutter priority or aperture priority, whatever it was. And then with some advice from Carlos from Get That Shot, he was like, dude, you've got to go full manual. I'm like, no way. That sounds way too scary.
That's a
Um,
lot.
but then I bit the bullet and did it. And so I literally shoot 100% manual, except for my autofocus. I keep that on.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else, my ISO and whatnot, it's all manual.
That makes sense. Like ISO, I feel like I've toyed with photography a little bit,
Yeah.
and it is, and nothing, no moving stuff. That's next level. So I feel like
What?
ISO or whatever makes sense to have
Yeah.
that auto.
Once you get like under, it's a triangle. There's three settings that make a triangle. And Peter McKinnon actually goes into detail in his videos
Okay.
about it, his earlier videos.
Mm-hmm.
Once you grasp the concept of that, kind of like, you might be able to relate it being an art teacher, like the color wheel, like,
Mm-hmm.
some colors work together or not. Once you understand the concept of it, like, oh, that makes sense. It becomes natural.
Gotcha. Okay. Right on. What was the learning curve for you? Like, so you were in it. Like, it seems like every weekend
Yeah.
you're out there. Like it's real convenience down the street, so you can
It's
go
rare
do
to miss
that.
a weekend.
So
Yeah.
what, like, maybe day wise or hour wise, like, what was I the I'm just experimenting. I just got this camera to I know what I'm doing. Maybe not perfected, but like I can do something intentionally. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. I think, I think World Cup last year was the one of the first times I was like, okay, I can set up for a certain shot and like dial in a certain setting and get, something in focus and not in focus, intentionally.
Gotcha.
Where I think before that it was more of like, like I hope this is gonna come out. Like I'd have a lot of people like, hey, take a picture of me really quick with somebody, and like I wasn't in the right focus for that. And so I would just hope it would come out. But I think it was World Cup where I really dialed into, the different settings for the focus points. Like, all right, I've got to switch it for this type of shot. I've got to flip it back for a product shot. And that's really elevated my game now because now I'm playing with different depths of field and
Hmm.
different styles of photos too.
You just said something, a product shot. So are companies like saying, "Hey, can you grab like a cool shot of our mask or our tank or whatever?" Or
Yeah, yep. So for NXL Chicago this year, I did some work for JT. And
nice.
so, well, JT Empire Core, like that whole umbrella brand.
Yeah.
And that's when they had dropped the new Empire EVS goggles, like the clear ones that had the red and the blue.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they posted pictures of Mouse and Thomas Taylor, wearing those and some of the other product shots, a lot of that was my work.
That's so cool.
And so it was cool. Like, I worked with Thomas, to like, he would hold the camera, the mask certain ways. So like the mask was in focus, but he was out of focus, but you could still tell it was him.
Nice. Okay.
So it's really cool working with some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Is that like young Dan is like, holy shit, this is happening right now.
Oh,
Like,
100%. Like, I still get that, like Dynasty was always, I had them on my walls when I was a kid.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've got relationships with all of them now. Like we're all on a, text phone call basis. But like, even to this day, when I roll up to an event and like Yosh sees me, Yosh Rao, and he has a big smile. He gives me a big hug. I'm like, oh my God. Like
Yeah.
if you told this kid, 20 years ago, like Yosh is giving me a hug, like I'd be freaking out.
Yeah. That's
So it doesn't get old. That's for sure.
That's awesome. That's so cool. All right, so I can't get over this photography stuff. I'm learning stuff.
I love that.
Talk to me about, so, paintball players, we walk the field for our reasons. Talk to me
Yeah.
about walking a field as a photographer. Like, is there some similarities, or obviously you're on the perimeter, but
Totally. Yeah. So, when the layout drops, I'm doing the same thing that players are. Like, I'm looking for like, all right, what are some potential primary moves? What are some potential, like L runs where like you kind of run up and then break off. Where do I need to position myself for that? The other unique challenge is on the pro field, you have a little bit more room to play with than I do have here at Outlaw.
Yeah.
But also on the pro field at the center 50 on the snake side, you've got the referee tower. That's probably a 5x10 tower that blocks off a lot of angles.
No way. Okay.
And so when I'm on that layout weekend, I try to take that into play. So I make sure I don't stand in that area. So I'm really focusing on, all right, a divisional person's making this route. How would a pro break that route? How would somebody else do it? What's their body language like?
Okay.
And so, I honestly, like, some people may not know this. I don't know a lot of the bunker names outside of like your Cobra, your Turret.
Yeah.
When people are yelling.
Stuff.
Yeah. But like at these pro events, when they're saying all their name, I have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah.
But like I'm reading body language. Yeah. And so I'm just reading body language on the box. I have a sense of like, all right, what's the five guys coming out? They're probably gonna be a little more conservative, or like, hey, we've got 3 or 4 faster guys. They're probably going to send it a little bit more. And so I'm always reading the field.
Do you have someone like kind of dialed in where you're like, all right, it's Marcel. I know what I'm going to do for this guy.
Yeah. 100%. There's a few pros throughout the league that have some tells, some like signs of their body. It's kind of like, if you ever been into like football a little bit, a lot of coaches will pick up on like, hey, if the player's knuckles are in the ground, he's launching. There's a few pros out there that they do certain things with their gear, like they tighten their barrel last minute, or like they pull their pack up right before they get down in the box. I'm like, oh, okay, he's coming. I know that.
Let's jump into. I got those sort of, and you may have already answered it with some of your like stories from like North Carolina, but like, who is an artist or photographer? Like they're the same to me, but who is an artist that I need to know about? Or like one of your favorites, I guess would be a better way to ask
that. One of my favorites. So I don't know if a lot of people know him like outside of the pro paintball players. But there's a guy his name is Philip Swindle.
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell?
Yep.
Okay. So you know Phil. Oh yeah, because you work with Hormesis quite a bit.
Yeah. And I've actually interviewed him. He's a cool dude.
So he is one of my just favorite photographers. His work is on a whole other level. Like his sunset work.
Oh yeah.
Like you want to talk about Peter McKinnon Golden Hour? Like he's got that stuff dialed down.
For sure.
And it was it's cool because we've done a lot of collaboration between like some of the Hormesis and the Gap pieces. Let's see if I can grab it. He and I actually, so they did 2 covers for this edition of the magazine. Like he's got one cover, and then I've got the other cover. And so, like again, there's one of those like shots that he's done. And so his work is just on a whole other level.
Go back 2 years. Hang on. Let's see. Go back 2 years.
Yeah. So this was. You want to talk about?
I gotta get it. Dude.
You want to talk about a cool moment for me? Like I was the kid that was like I was waiting for my paintball magazine, and I had some stuff in the first one, but like I didn't know I had a cover photo until I actually saw it in person at Cup. It was the most surreal feeling I probably ever had is seeing that on the magazine stand in the Hormesis booth. It was unreal. Dude, and so
you made that post and like, I was so excited for you. Like, I could kind of like feel like, man, that's so cool. And to know that
I get goosebumps thinking about
it. It's so cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the second question, what is a piece of art that has like stopped you in your tracks? You see it and you're like, I got to spend some time with this.
So at a higher level, anything that has, I'm a sucker for bright colors. Anything that has like a lot of bright yellows, purples, and pinks, it's always going to catch my attention. But I think, and this may be a little different from where I'm going with that, but a piece of art that recently was like, wow. Here in Austin, there's a shopping plaza or like area called the Domain. It's like a really popular hub. It has got like restaurants. It's got like
Okay.
the Apple Store. Um, it's a really cool place. Like I hang out there pretty often.
Nice.
They had an artist come and do like I guess some people call it like installation. They had it was space themed,
Okay.
and so they had a moon that was probably, if I had to guess, 20 or 30 feet in like circumference, that was just hanging over like this green patch area, like a grass. And at nighttime, they found a way to light it up. And so like you're literally standing
Oh,
here like, holy shit, this it looks like there's a moon right in front of me. It was such a cool like idea that somebody thought of.
yeah. And did it.
Yeah.
And so is it still there or is it gone now?
No, it was only up there for like a week or two. Like, how sometimes artists will have like sculptures up for
Mm-hmm.
a time period or whatnot. It was kind of like that same style where like it was only up for a certain amount of time.
Nice. I love that. That's super cool.
Yeah. And
Um,
then
Go ahead.
the most recent one, super quick, we went to that Harry Potter like show last week. And like
Yeah.
that's unreal. It's like a walk-through path with lights and
Yeah, man.
it's a really creative process for the artist behind that.
The amount of work that goes into those things is,
Unreal.
yeah, and the like psychology that goes into it also.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I'd love to break that down one day and just
Yeah. Same.
really understand it.
Same.
That's super cool. Well, dude, you know, that is most of what I wanted to cover.
Cool.
You got any questions for me?
Yeah, what's next for you in the paintball scene? Like
Oh
I
gosh.
remember, last year seeing obviously your paintings, your drawings, the work that you did for Hormesis. Like people would dream to do what you've done for them. So I hope you're proud of that. That's
Oh,
such a huge
thank you.
accomplishment.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Hopefully I keep working with them. I've done some stuff. Yeah, I'd love to just keep working with them.
Yeah.
I did an interview of Alex Frazier, Thomas Taylor, and Nick Sloviak that I wrote a piece about. So I'm hoping to get
Cool.
that into issue 3, or I'll do a zine out of it, whichever way that lands.
Yeah.
Still want to do more zines. I kind of enjoy the writing aspect. That to me is like a playground. This is like
Yeah.
no rules. I can do whatever I want. I have my rules that I've established and people that I trust and listen to, and then it's like just kind of go for it. And so
Yeah.
those are fun because I can really like go whatever direction I want.
For sure.
And yeah, I don't know, like a guy from Baja Blasters, I think. It's
Okay.
it's a field. I kind of think it's like either bordering Mexico or in Mexico. I can't remember, but really nice guy. Like wanted to wear it, but it was filthy. He made me a hoodie of one of my prints, and I was like, just gave it to me. I
Wow.
was like, holy shit, dude! Like, this is great. And so I'm gonna try to work with him and do some prints, like some shirts. I've
Dude,
done, yeah,
that's a great idea to get some of your, like the thing up behind you, like the little paintings that you've been selling.
yeah.
That would be sick on a shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. I've talked to a lot of people, so we'll see. It's just time, dude. Like,
I know.
Hormesis, thankfully, super super patient with me.
Yeah.
I do not have a 3-day turnaround.
Yeah. I mean you can't rush art, right? Like you can't rush it at all.
Yeah, not something gets lost. So if I'm rushing art, then I'm like neglecting my family, and
Yeah.
and then I feel bad about that, and then my art suffers because of that, and so on and so forth. So it's this weird balancing game.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm hoping to make it to some more events. I'd love to have a booth somewhere. I don't quite have the inventory
Yeah.
for that, so maybe with some
Sure.
of the shirts. We'll see. But yeah, dude, like, I actually just reached out to Ryan today. I was like, hey, if you need any art for the summit, like, let me know. I'm down.
Cool.
That was my highlight. Like, being there and seeing it. I didn't know that my art was going to be on the screen. I knew they wanted it for like the sort of entryway, and I saw that and I was like, that's cool. And then they threw it up, and seeing Bobby and
unreal,
Passion,
right?
and I was like, holy shit, this is nuts. And my phone died right in the middle of that. I was like, no, man. Like, I got a few pictures, I think, of Billy Wing's sort of presentation, but yeah, I got a lot of ideas, man. They're there. I have time to think about them, but to make them, that's another thing. So
sure, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, but it's fun, and it's kind of like, I think, similar to you. Like, I think I've sort of found my field. You know, I still do like this is my son behind me. I still do those. Like, a lot of times paintings I'll do that for like that aren't paintball related, or even if they are, it's something in me is like, that's what I want to do. Yeah, it's not so much like I get commissions, but it's like, this person sounds kind of pompous, like, this person deserves a painting or whatever, like, this is what I can give to them is art.
You feel a connection, and I think that's really important for an artist. Is like, if you feel connected to whatever, we'll call it the medium, whatever it is you're doing, then your work's going to show through that. Yeah.
And it just feels good to make that and be like, hey, here you go. Like it feels good to make money off of it too. But we can, I don't know, it feels good to give stuff away. So
it does. Yeah. Giving is one of the best gifts that you can do to somebody, is, give somebody a gift that they just don't expect or they're not ready for. It's so cool.
What is it? Unexpected gift at an unexpected time, something like that. Like, even if it's words, I forget what it was. Someone just texted me something really nice, real simple, one statement, like, you're amazing, and I was like, holy shit, thanks, man,
made my day.
So anyway, but yeah, man, I got lots of plans. Cool. So I don't want to, I want to respect your time. I think we got a solid hour out of this, at least.
Yeah, totally.
I look forward to your next episode. So when's that dropping? Next week? Next month?
Yeah, it's going to be either Tuesdays or Wednesdays moving forward. I actually can't announce it yet, but I am working on like a title sponsor for it.
Hey, all right.
And based off of some of that conversation, we may move it to Tuesday. And so, probably either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Another thing released on Tuesday. It's not
but
live,
but it'd be Tuesday morning. So like, that's the thing. Everyone's all at nighttime. I want something for the morning crowd, right? Because some people like get to work and like, we're all working, but like some people can listen to podcasts at work. And so like, you can look forward to that.
Yeah. I do love like the interaction part of Spick and Span, but it's just, I know it's like 4:30, but it's West Coast, so it's like 6:30, and I'm like, guys, I'm busy. This is family time.
It's prime family time. Exactly.
So anyway, so that's cool. Tuesday mornings, potentially,
but for sure mornings. So maybe it's a podcast and a coffee for somebody.
There you go. And so you got Sal coming up on the next episode, and anyone else lined up that you can release, or no?
No, nothing official yet. I'm still working on trying to get Enrique on. I would love to get into his mind. I for sure want to get Carlos on, because he's helped me so much when I first started. I really want to get some other like newer media on. And then I'm going to reach out to like Alex Fragi and Ryan and all those guys too. So I really want to get a mix of people, from the best in the world to divisionals to referees. Like there's so many people that are working involved in paintball that the community doesn't know about. So I really want to highlight some of those people too.
Right on. Sweet. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this, dude. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's an honor.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I can't wait to hear the next episode. And thanks.
Cool, man.